Welcome to Exam Consult. We want to build a data model for a company. There is a number of software that can help you to do that. But currently, in this current days, many companies go for Power BI in order to use in building a data model for their clients, for their customers, and for the company. But before now, there are other software, there are other tools that helps in building a database for a company. We have a number of them. Now, there are tools like Microsoft. There are tools like Microsoft Access. The Microsoft Access also is a tool that you can use in building a model for a particular company, using building a data model for a particular company. Also, we have the software like the Oracle software and the Microsoft SQL. These are all softwares that can be used in building and modeling a data for a particular company. But this present day will make use of the Power BI. The Power BI can be used in building a data model in order to model a data for a particular company, for the clients of a particular company, for the customers of a particular company. Now, what is Power BI? From the name Power BI, you can see it's dealing with the power of this particular software, BI. Whenever you hear the word BI means two. The word buy means two. Now, to me, I would say that Power Query combines the future of two softwares, the futures of two softwares. One, Power Query combines the future of the Microsoft Access. If you are familiar with the use of Microsoft Access, it can be used in building modeling data for a particular company. You use it to build a database for a particular company. Power Query also, Power BI has this particular feature. And also, Power BI also, I told you, a combination of two software, Power Query and Power BI. Power Query and Microsoft Access. Power BI has the feature of Microsoft Access and also the feature of Power Query. Power Query helps you to run different types of query on your data, to retrieve different types of results, to run different types of data analysis on your data, to get different kind of results and to get an in-depth understanding of the data. Why the Microsoft Access, which I told you earlier on, can be used in modeling data for a particular company. Power BI combines the features of these two software. Now we're going to look at Power BI. I'm going to take you through this training on Power BI. You're going to learn how to model a company, how to model a database of a company using Power BI, or how to model the data for a particular company using Power BI. Simply put, it is used in building the database of a particular company. Power BI is a tool that can be used in building the database for a particular company. So we can also say it's used in modeling data for a particular company. Modeling the data of a particular company, data takes the information. So it's used in building of a database for a particular company. That is what Power BI is all about. And I'm going to take you through this training on how to build Power BI for a particular company. And also in this particular training video, we'll be covering different types of. We'll be looking at the different types. We'll be looking at the different types of database modeling. We'll be looking at the dimension tables, and we'll be looking at the fact tables. We'll be looking at the star schemas, and also we'll do a number of things that will take you from being a beginner to becoming a pro in Power BI. Modeling a data for a particular company, the first thing you need to do, you need to know the type of company you want to build up the database for. You need to know the type of company you're building up the database for, the type of company you want to model the data for. You have to understand the way the company works. You have to understand the system of the company so that you'll be able to model a data that's specifically meant for that particular company. For instance, when you look at a particular company that runs a school, you need to understand the way the school is being run. You need to understand the process, the accounting system of that particular school. Also, when you look at the particular company that is into, when you look at the particular company that's into hotel management or into sales, you need to understand the way a particular company runs. For instance, when you want to model the data for an hotel, an hotel management company or a company that runs an hotel, you need to understand certain things about the particular what company, for instance. So understanding having a better understanding of the type of company will tell you how you can model, will give you an understanding or will give you an insight or will tell you how you can model the data for the specifically for that particular company. Without a good understanding of the way the company goes or the way the company system works, it is very difficult for you to model the data for the particular company. For instance, you want to build a data for an hotel for an hotel or for a school, you have to understand the various types of you have to understand the various types of sections the particular hotel or the particular schools have. For instance, you want to build a database for an hotel. I need to understand, okay, the hotel, I have to know the number of rooms that are available, the number of rooms that are booked, the number of rooms that are under construction, and I have to know, do they have a bar? Do they have a restaurant? And I have to know a number of things about it and how it runs. So this will give me understanding, it will make me to know what type of tables am I going to build for this particular company. For instance, in this particular training, we'll be looking at when this particular training, we'll be looking at building a data, modeling a data, or building a database for a particular company known as a paint company. We'll be building a database for a paint company. In other words, we're modeling data for a paint company. When we talk about data modeling, it also means that building a database for a particular company. So these two words are used interchangeably, but they all means the same thing. Now, here is an example of a database. Now, this is a database that was created for a training company using Microsoft Access. Remember, I told you that Power BI has a feature of Microsoft Access and also it has a feature of Power Query. So, if you have an understanding of Microsoft Access, you will easily have a better understanding on how to use Power BI because there are similarities between the use of both software. But in this current days, in this current days, the futures of Power BI is more than that of Microsoft Access. Power BI is an advanced. It has more features than that of Microsoft Access. But both of them are used in modeling the data of a company. Don't forget that. Now, this particular company was used, the tab Microsoft Access, you can see, was used in modeling the database of this particular company that is into training. Now, first and foremost, I told you that when you want to build a database for a company, you need to understand the type of company you want to build a database for. You need to understand the way the company works. Now, this is a company that is involved into training. Now, this particular company, when student comes for training, the first thing the student goes through, they goes through inquiry. When they get the inquiry form, they fill in the inquiry form. After that, they do the registration. Once they are done with the registration, then the next thing you need to build, you want to build a database for this type of particular company. The next thing you need to consider, the courses. What are the courses that this particular training, IT training are into? What are the courses they train for students? What are the available courses that the student can undertake. Now you look at the courses. When you look at the particular table, each particular table will tell you the items that will involve, that will include each particular table. So you have to create the table for the course, and also you see there's a duplicate here. This and this is a duplicate. So one should go off. So now I don't want to delete it, but you see there's a duplicate here. So two of these two should go off. This two should be off. This two should be off. Okay, let me quickly hide that. Now we can easily understand with this. Now, with this, you can able to understand. So when you understand the company you want to build a database for, you know what the companies are into, you'll be able to understand, you know the numbers of table you are building for this particular company, and you know the fields that will contain each particular table. So also it is with Power BI. When you want to model the data for a particular company, Power BI, you need to understand the company you're modeling the data for. Then you'll be able to know the number of tables you are going to build for that particular company. Now, let me explain some things to you. Now, this particular table, you can see this registration table. Inquiry table is linked to the registration table. Now, this inquiry table is linked to the registration table, as you can see. Now, then the parent table is also linked to the registration table. The cost table is linked to the registration table. Now, this registration table represents the fact tables. So this is what they call the fact schema in data modeling. So you have to understand your fact schema. The fact schema is a table where other tables are derived from, or where other tables are linked to. So this is your fact table. Now, then after building the fact table, this particular diagram we have, you can see this particular fact table is linked to a number of tables. This is what is called a star schema. In data modeling, the linking of various tables to the fact table is known as what star schema. Then the snowflake schema. The snowflake schema. Now, the snowflake schema. Now, in a situation when you begin to normalize your database, what do I mean by normalizing your database? Now, I have a registration table. From this registration table, I got this table, the payment table. When people comes to make payments, we're going to get the date of payment, the name of the student that made the payment, what course does the student want to take, the amount paid, and the balance left in case the student makes a part payment. So when this table is gotten from this, when we keep generating more tables, because when we keep using a database, you keep generating more tables, and more tables. So that is what we call a snowflake schema. But what you should know is this: avoid a situation whereby you can see this cost table is gotten from this payment table. Now, if the cost table is gotten from this payment table, but along the line, the cost table is also linked to the registration table. But if your situation is that after this cost table, let me delete this now. When I delete this, it will permanently be deleted. The moment I delete this from the database, you can see the cost table here. I said yes. Now it's totally deleted from the database. Now see, this table is now linked to this table. But there is one thing you should be sure of while building a database. Ensure that your table is linked to your fact table, is linked to the main table where other data are derived from. Now you can see this cost table. This cost table is linked to the payment table, but the payment table is linked to the registration table. It's still okay. It's not mandatory for the cost table to be linked to the registration table. It's still okay. Now, why is this okay now? This will be very, very important when you want to start performing a query. Because when you want to start performing a query in the Power BI, for instance, you want to know the courses that's available, the duration of the courses, and you want to know the courses, you want to know the duration. I want you to get some information here. get some information here and want to get some information here. You want to get that tree running a query. Now, if this particular cost table is not linked to the registration table, you will find it difficult in running a particular query to derive data from this particular table. So that's the important thing for making to get a star schema. A star schema is a situation whereby all your data are linked to the fact table or they are linked to the main table either directly or indirectly. So I can simply build this back. I can simply build it back and put it away and click create. You can do it. But remember I told you that it's not mandatory. So we can delete this off. I delete it off. As long as this particular table is linked to the payment table and the payment table is linked to the main table, which is a fact table, we are good to go. So, just like I said, you can still do it back and leave it this way. Now, so if I want to get to the registration table, I can go directly from the cost table to the registration table. That I don't need to go through the payment table. From the payment table, I go to registration table. So what am I trying to say is this: when building the database, avoid the situation whereby most of your tables are not connected to the fact tables. They're not connected to the main table. Avoid such situation while building a database. Now, when you're building a database, avoid such situation whereby most of your tables are not linked to your main table or otherwise known as the fact tables. So if you have a situation whereby most of your tables, for instance, this particular table is not linked to this table, and I have another one that is linked to this cost table, I have another one that is linked to it. Now this is what we call a snowflake schema. Now you might have a problem running a query on your particular table. But it is better that they are all linked, and also it is better that most of your tables are linked to the fact tables while building or modeling the data for a particular company. So let me quickly do a recap of all what I've just said. When you want to model the data for a particular company, I'll be using the word modeling. I won't use the word build a database. Both of them are the same thing. So since we are dealing with Power BI, just as I told you, can be used to build up a database for a particular company. But I won't be using the word building a database for a company again. I'll be using the word modeling. So when you want to model the data for a particular company, you need to understand the type of company you want to model the data for. For instance, this is a company that is into IT training. Now I have to understand the way the process of that particular company goes. I have to understand their process. Now, when people comes for registration of a particular training course, they get the inquiry form from the inquiry, they go into registration from registration, they make payments from payments, and this table represents the courses that are offered by that particular IT training institute. Now, so when you understand the the company you want to create a database for, you understand the types of tables. This will give you understanding of the types of tables you have to build for this particular company. So for this training institute, I know that I have to build a table known as inquiry table to people that comes to do inquiry. I keep records of those people. Now, when you know the type of tables you're going to build, it gives you information of the types of records, or rather the type of cells or the type of fields that will be contained in each table. For instance, when I know that I'm going to build an inquiry table for this particular company that I need IT training, I know that the next thing that what will contain in that inquiry table, I want to get information of the people coming for the inquiry, then the first name, and the surname, and the phone number, the gender, the state, the address. I like to do the educational background. I also like to keep record of the inquiry date, the cost they're interested in, and the cost of the particular course and so on. So having understood that, then you start building your database for the particular one company. Now let's quickly run into the different types of model in Power BI. Now, in database, we have a conceptual model, we have a logical model, we have a physical model. Now, the conceptual model simply means the type of table you were building for the particular company. The type of table you will be building for a particular company is a conceptual model. For this particular company, for instance, if I'm going to build or model I'm going to model a data for a company that's into IT training, for instance, the type of table I will be building for this particular company is the inquiry table, the registration table, the payment table, and the cost table. This is a conceptual modeling. Then the other type of modeling we have is a logical modeling. Now, the logical modeling deals with what are the fields or the fields or the cells that each table will contain. So that is a logical modeling. We're not talking about the physical modeling. Now, the physical modeling is now telling us that what are the types of we're talking about the types of data that we contain in each table. Now you can see like Microsoft Excel. Okay, let's go to this Microsoft Excel so that I can then explain this to us. Okay, so let me quickly close this Microsoft Access. Okay, let me say yes. Yeah, let me quickly close this Microsoft Access. I want to show something. Now, so I'm talking about the physical model. Now, in Microsoft Access, when we're talking about the physical modeling has to do with the data type. The data type, what type of data type will be the first name, the surname, the phone number, are they text, or the inquiry date, are they date at the time? So this is what we know as a physical model. But in Power BI, we don't need to start specifying this like that of Microsoft Access. Power BI is going to automatically build this for us, but also we can also do that in Power BI. There's a place in Power BI we can do that. We can do that in Power BI. We can change the type of data type. We can also choose the type of data type we want to use in modeling a data for that particular company. Now, I think with this little understanding, we can go straight into building the data modeling for a particular company. But in this particular, now let's look at the table we are going to use in this particular training exercise. Now I want to model a data for a particular company that is into paint production, and the name of the company is known as KK Paints Limited. Now this is the fact tables that we're going to use. This is a fact table. Now the fact table, remember I told you the fact table is the main table where all other database, where other information or where other tables are derived from. Now you can see this, if I want to build this in Microsoft Excel, all you do, you need Microsoft Excel, you put all the information on that particular one table. Now you can see this particular company, this particular paint company, we can see the name of the employees, their first name, their last name. You can see the first name, we can see the last name of the employee, and you can see the department ID, the department name, the job ID, the job title, the salary, we can see the commission, we can see the email address, and so on and so forth. We can see the state, we can see the types of paints, type of paint the company produces. They produce a 1 gallon emulsion, they produce the 1 drum teakwood, and we can see the grade, the gold, the diamond, and we can see the prices. We can see the customer type that this company has, and we can see the location for the different branches of the company. We can see the depot ID, we can see the depot name, address. Now we want to build a database, you want to model a data for a particular company using Microsoft Excel. This is the way it's being done. All information will be on a particular table and you can put either or some other information on the tabs. For instance, I go to customer table. Remember this customer table, I start having the customer's name, the first name, the last name, now the customer type. Remember, there's a type of customer, they have their address, their state, their sex, and the types of goods purchased. Remember, the drum of good, deco, gallons of good, emulsion. Remember, we have the goods type here. We have it here. You can see the customer type, distributors, the number of customers, and we have the types of goods. We have the types of goods there that are being produced. We have the drum. We can see the drum of deco, drum of emulsion, the customer type. We have the distributors, customer, normal customers. This is using Excel in modeling in, you can see the customers in modeling the data for this particular company. Now, this particular company, before, just as I told you, you need to understand the company you are building you want to model the data for when you are building a model for. Now, when you understand the company, you know the different types of table you are going to build. You do the table. Now, when you finish typing the table on Microsoft Excel, you now import the table from Microsoft Excel or from any other sources into Power BI. That is what we are going to do. Also, in this particular fact table, while building the data model for the company, you have to also know about the dimension for each particular table. Now, let's go to the Microsoft Access. Now, when we go to the Microsoft Access, let's go to the design view and let's click on the relationship. Now, this the relationship was automatically built by you. Recall I deleted some of this. I deleted some of the relationship. Now, when you can see this type of relationship, you can see this is one-to-many relationship. Now, this is a registration table. All of those tables is linked to the registration table known as the fact table. Remember, I told you the fact table is the table where all other tables are derived from or where other tables are linked to. Remember, okay, we simplify this by hiding this because we have cost, and cost, and we hide all those. We hide all this particular table just to make it simpler. Now, so all these tables are linked to the fact table. Now, also to know when building the database, you have to understand the various dimensions in your fact table. Now, if you look at this particular table, you can see that one dimension in this fact table is the cost table. Now, is the cost. Now, for the cost, we should be able to have a particular table that is different from the registration table that only focus on the courses that is being done by this particular IT training institute. Also, we should be able to have concerning the cost of the training. We have the cost of the training. We have the amount paid. So we should be able to have a particular table that contains information about the payment made by each student that comes for training. So all this represents dimension in data modeling, in modeling the data for a particular company. So you have to understand these various dimensions so you can use it to build different types of table for a particular company. So this is very, very important in data modeling. So once you have your fact tables, why building a database for a company? For instance, I want to build a database for this paint company. I've gotten my fact tables. Remember, the fact table is where all your orders information are derived from. So now the next thing we need to look at, we have to build the various types of tables that we need to derive out of that fact table. Now you can see this fact table is too broad and too long. You can see that. Now, in data modeling, you have to have different types of tables, and these tables has to be linked with one another, just the way we saw it here. We see this for this table, the registration table is linked to this, and is linked to the payment table and linked to the cost table. Now, when it now comes to the payment table, and you come to the cost table, you go to inquiry table, there will be some information here that are not found in the registration table. For instance, in the inquiry table, where we have the gender, we have the address, we have the education, we have we have the address. In this registration table, I didn't put it, but we can decide to include the address there, and we can decide to include the gender, but there's no need of duplication of tables. This is why this is the importance why your database needs to be linked with each other. The tables in your data modeling needs to link with one another. So I have to identify various types of dimension that can be used. In other words, various types of tables that I can use in creating other tables for this particular company. So let's go to now. So the next thing I need to identify the dimensions that can be used in building a data model to model the data for this particular company. Let me go to the smart house. Then let's go to the smart house. Let's pick something here. Okay, now I have this. Now the next thing I need to, I told you, we have to build. Now this is a particular, there's a fact tables for this particular company. Now this represents the fact table. This is the main table. So let's call this fact, the fact table. That's the table that contains the facts that we need in modeling the data for this particular paint company. Now, what are other tables I can create out of this fact tables are called dimension. Now, remember we have the employee's name, the employee's ID. I can't put the employee ID as another table. I can have another table called employee ID. So we can also that can be a dimension. But I can have a table known as department. I can have a table known as department name because I want to know the name of every employee in this company. I want to know the different department they belong. The one that is in account department, the one that is in the training and development department, the one that is in the marketing, sales and marketing department. So I want to know the various departments each of the each of the staff in the company belongs to. So we call that a dimension. So we call a dimension what? Department. So that's one table there we are going to build for this particular company. So the other dimension I need to have, remember when I say dimension, I'm talking about various tables that can be derived out of our fact table. Remember our fact tables is a table that contains the various information, the various facts that is needed to model the data for a particular company. Remember I said I'm not going to use the word to build a database for a particular company, but building a database for a company is still talking about modeling. In the Power BI, we make use of the word model instead of build a database. So we model the data for the particular company. Well, we use modeling because at the end of the day, we start running query. We start querying the data. That's why we use model. We model the data. So the other table, another dimension table I can do is a job title. I want to know the various types of job that company, different types of people are doing, whether paying an account manager, whether paying a public account manager. Now you can see another table I can build is I can't start building a salary table. No, under the job title, there are various columns that will be included in that job title table, which will include the salary and work commission. So now on that table I'm going to build is this. If that's very, very important dimension, I missed out the employees table. I want to know how a table where I have employees. And under the employees table, the columns that will be included in the employees table will be what? The employee ID, the first name, the last name, and we don't need to put the department ID in the employees table. We can decide to put the department ID. You can put the department ID. You don't need to put the department name. But rather, we go to the salary, go to the commission, we go to the email, which is very, very important. We don't need to put the salary, we don't need to put the commission. So we are going to have another table that contains that. The important table that will be included in the employees table is the employee ID, the first name, the last name. You can put the department ID, each of the employees below. We don't need the department name. because we are going to build a table known as the department, a table known as the department, and that particular table will be linked to the employees table. So we want to get any information about the, I want to get any information about a particular department, a particular employee belongs to, or what we need to do, because they are connected, we can query the database, we can get that information. So we need the first employment ID, first name, last name, and department ID. We can go to the email address, can go to the phone number, can go to the sex, and the hire date of the person, if the person has left the company, end date, this is the residential address, can get the address of the person, the state. Okay. Now under employees table, we don't need the goods type, all this, we don't need the price, they're not important, they represent that for the customers information. So another table again we can build as another dimension that we can derive out of the fact tables is in the customer. So a table for the customer. So we can still get a number of tables out of the fact tables. So I'm not going to do all this. What I'm going to stop in this particular case, I'm only going to stop at the customer. You can see this is the customer table. I derive the customer table out of this particular fact table. I derived the customer table from it. You can see customer ID, the first name, the last name, customer type, the shop address, the state, the age, the sex, and then we have the goods purchased and so on. But when you go to our fact tables, you can see all those information. There you can see all this information is derived from the fact table. So that's how we continue to do that and to build. Now, when you've done that in your Microsoft Excel, the next thing you do, you have to now import it into Power BI. I'm going to show us how to do that very soon. But let's keep building this for a particular company. So let me quickly remove this here. Let me paste it here. Let me just paste it here. Okay, now let's go back to our fact tables. Now, having created your dimension tables in Microsoft Excel, I told you the next thing you need to do is to import those tables into Power BI. So let's go to Power BI. I've opened the Power BI. Now, when you have the Power BI software, the next thing you need to do is to import this data. Now, there are various numbers of ways to import the data into Power BI. First and foremost, you have to know that the Power BI screen is similar to the screen of Power Query. So if you don't have an understanding of Power Query, you have to check my training on Power Query. I did a complete training on Power Query. I did a complete training on Power Query, A to Z of Power Query. I taught that in depth on Power Query. So you can check out my training video on Power Query. You can get it. You can learn how to do Power Query. So the screen of Power BI is just similar to that of Power Query. That is why you can remember when I told you about the Power BI software, I told you that Power BI software is a combination of two software. That's why you call it BI. BI means buy. So it's a combination of two types of software, that of Microsoft Access and that of Power Query. Now you can see this particular screen is similar to the screen of Power Query. Now this particular screen is similar to the screen of Power Query. Power Query window. Now this is the Power Query window. Now this Power Query window, using the Power Query window, the Power Query window just looks like that of the Power Query window just looks like that of the Power BI. Now you can see the Power Query window. We have the from. We want to get file from the form of database, different types, appendix, and the rest. So this is the Power Query window. So let's go back to what we are doing. So the first thing you need to do is to get the data into your Power BI. Getting data into your Power BI, there are different ways you can get data into your Power BI. You can decide to get the data through Excel worksheet. I've explained all this in my training on Power BI. You can also use the modify. When you use the modify, it gives you various options whereby you can connect your data. You can connect your data on your Excel spreadsheet and to your Power BI. You can decide to connect it use a text file. Depending on the type of file you have, like our own, excuse me, our own data in Excel spreadsheet. So I can have to use Excel spreadsheet to connect the data. So when you click on that, you now click on connect. Alternatively, what is actually used is you get a data into your Power BI. How do you want to get data into your Power BI? Now I want to use, because our data, this data here, our data here is in Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to select the option Excel workbook. Now, so I click on Excel workbook. When I click on Excel workbook, I'm going to go to where my data are stored. Now, my data are stored in this particular aspect. I'm going to find where I store the data. Okay, this is where I store the data. Now, this is where I store the data. I go to the file, the file name I'm using, saving the data. Then I double click on that. I click on open. Then Microsoft, the Power BI opens that data is opened in Power BI. Now, once the data is open in Power BI, I'm going to select the tabs I want to import into Power BI. Now you can see I have two tabs here. I have the employee table, I have the customers table in this particular place. So I can decide to, like, this contains that I don't need this. So I want to only import those two into Power BI, the employees tab and the customers tab. So I clicked on this two. When I click on the Power BI, it gives you a form of the data. So I either click load or I click transform the data. Transform data means if you want to edit the data, you want to clean the data. It's always better to use the transform the data so you can clean the data. Now you can see this is the Power Query window. You can see the Power Query enter, manage parameter, advanced. This is a Power Query window. That's exactly what we saw in this place when we click on the Power Query. Those are cells they are pinned, the merge, from, the launch, and the rest of it. You can see the map. Okay, so now you can clean the data. When you finish cleaning the data, let me do this. Now, so you can clean the data, you check everything that everything is rightly done. Now, even your data type. Now you can see this data type here. This data type here. Click on that. You go to data type. This Power Query, I'm not doing Power Query here. I taught a lot about this. So you can see the data type here. The data type is using whole number. So is the prices whole number, or do I want my price to have a digit, a decimal number? I use that, but it's not a decimal number. So I leave the whole number. So that's how you can change your data type there. When you're done with all that, then you go to close and apply. That's import the data into Power BI. So that automatically imports the data into Power BI. So that imports the data into Power. So you can see the two. Once you click on this, you go to this particular data view. You can see the data in Power BI. You click on this. It gives you more view of the data. Then use this to scroll left to right. Now you can see all these extra columns. And if we clean the data, we can have removed all these extra columns. So let's go back to this. Now, to remove all those extra, now this is the data view. This is the relationship. Now you can see this is where Power BI builds your relationship. Now this type of relationship we saw in Excel. I told you that Power BI also have this. So this is a relationship. These two tables are not yet related. So we are going to build a relationship for these two tables. For instance, if I want to build a relationship for these two tables, I can see this. I'm not actually building a relationship. I just want to show us one or two things. So that is that. We will later go to the building of a relationship. Now, okay, this particular place, this. So we can go back to Power BI. We go to the home. We'll get to the home. We can go to transform the data. Now click on this transform the data, and you can see all those empty cells. See, from 14, from 13 down to 28. You can see those empty cells from 13 down to 28. So we can decide to remove those columns. So let's click on this, remove columns. Now let's highlight that. Let's press down the shift key on our keyboard. You see, I've highlighted this particular column. Then I'm going to press down the shift key on my keyboard and I click on this. Now it comes to remove column. Click on that and I remove those columns. Sorry. Press down the shift key on your keyboard. Like this and remove columns. Now it's going to remove the ones that is highlighted. Now you can see we've done that. So you can go back to this, close and apply. Once you are done with that, you can go back to your relationship. Okay, it's applying the changes. Go back. Okay, it's applying the changes. Now you can now see those columns are no longer there. Let's see. Okay, so that is that. Let's quickly leave this part. So sorry, we make a little bit of mistake. While we're importing our data into Power BI, we should have just only import the fact table. So we don't need this particular table. This particular table should not be included in the model. So we delete this off. Yes. So what am I saying this is while we imported this table, we should have just only imported only the employees tables. We don't need to import the customer table. Now, building the customer table and every other type of dimension will not be done in Microsoft Excel. We are going to do that in Power BI. All those other types of table will be created in Power BI. Okay, you want me to go through the steps again? I'll quickly run through the steps. Let's delete this off. Let's delete it off. Let's delete it off from the model. We'll delete that off. Okay, yes, that is deleted off from our model. So what we're going to do again, let's import the table again. We click on Excel file. We go to where we have the particular data. We pick the data there. Once you select the data, you select open. Power BI opens that. I only want to import this employees table. Now you take a look at the table, you click on transform. Remember when you click on transform, you have opportunity to clean the data before you import the data into your database. Now let's look at this if the data is okay. Now to me it's okay, it doesn't have those extra empty columns like we have in the other one. So we can go to click, close, and apply. Please, my training on Power Query is very, very important. You need that training. That is what you will use in cleaning your data in Power BI before you import the data into Power BI. So now, Power BI is importing that data here. This is the data. You click on it. You want to see the raw data. You click on the data view. You see the raw data. Now you can see we don't have any relationship now. You can see the raw data. We don't have any relationship now when you click on this. Just only have one table. Now we are going to create other relationship for this particular table. How are we going to do that? Now remember I told you we are going to create other dimensions for this particular table. Now these are the dimensions we are going to create now. I told you we are going to create these dimensions. We are going to create this dimension we are going to create for the job. Okay, we're going to create department, we're going to create for employee, we're going to create for customers. So let's start from customers. So remember the fact tables here, we have a fact tables, that's the data one we imported. Out of the fact table, we are going to create a table for employees, we are going to create a table for customers. So we're going to create a table for department and job type. Let's quickly do that. How do you do this in Power BI? So first and foremost, we are going to copy this. Let me rather duplicate that particular table. You want to rename your, you can do a number of things here. You want to have a new column, add a new column. Just look at my training on Power BI. I don't have to say all that here. When you go to my training on Power BI, you are going to see a number of things, a couple of things that can be done in. Okay, now for we to create other tables, what we're going to do, we're going to go back to Power Query. We go to let's go back to the transform table. Now remember we came to the screen when we imported that data into Power BI. We came into this table when we imported the data into Power BI. Yes, we come across this table. Now let me show you again because we come across this table when we come to Power BI. Let's close that. Let's import into Power BI again. Okay. Let's delete this from the model. So I want to show you that we came across that particular screen where we were importing our data into Power BI. Okay, get data, go to the Excel workbook. Then we select where we want to pick the data from. By now you should be conversant with this step because it's the third time I'm doing these steps. Now the Power BI is going to load the data. And when it's going to load the data, I told you always use the transform data. So we are going to select the table, the tab we want to load in. This is the tab we want to load in. That's the one we want to load this with transform data. This is the transform data. So it's either you put the data into your Power BI and go to the transform tab, the transform command, to get your other dimension table. Or at this particular point, you'll do a number of things here. Remember, we came back to this particular table. So now at this particular point, I can create this and rename it. Where is the rename? So we can simply call this the fact table. Let's say the fact. Let's put the fact data or fact employees. Let's just give it a name. But let's call it fact data. That's where we get the data from. Okay, now we're going to duplicate this. We're going to duplicate it a number of times. How many dimensions do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 dimensions. So let's duplicate it 4 times. Okay, 1, 1, 2, 3. Let's doesn't have to do it one more time. Okay, now this first one, let's call this let's rename it. Let's call that employees. That will be the employees table, or that was known as the employees. Now the dean table is a normalized table, but not as the snowflakes table. No, like the snowflakes. Remember, the snowflakes is a situation whereby you keep deriving one data from another, one table from another table. For instance, I derive this from this. I have to derive another table from this, and this particular table is not linked to this directly. This is only linked to this. The one I'm going to derive will be linked to this. The next one will link to this. That's a snowflakes. And I told you that while building a data model, let's try to avoid such. A star schema is very, very, very good, whereby a particular each will be linked to the database as much as possible. Now, what do I mean? That through this, I created this table from this, is linked to the database. I create this from this, is linked to the database. So it creates a kind of star schema. So let's leave that. Now, after that, the other dimension we are going to create, there's another table we need is the department table. Then another table here we're going to create here now is after the department table, what other dimension do we have there? What other dimension we have there? Well, we have the job dimension and the customers dimension, employees, okay, job and department, okay, customers. So we call that also we have to the team customers. Okay, that's it. Then the other one we have now is the job title. So we need a job title to put the dim job title, the dimension to the job title. Okay, you can go on and go forth. I'm going to stop with just this 4. You can do the rest yourself. Now we have the employees tables. Under the employees table, we have the employee ID. We have the first name. Press down your shift key. Select is needed. Last name is needed. Department ID is needed. All these are needed. So let's click on all this. The job ID for employee ID. Okay, department ID is needed. Department name is needed. Then the job ID is needed. I don't need the job title. Are you getting me? I don't need the job title. I need a salary for each worker to be on that particular table. So now rows, we can these rows to remove, column to remove. Now you see this is and that keeps only job title. So we're very careful. But I don't need this. Let me click on that. I selected that. The job title is off. The email address, their phone number, the sex is important, the age of the employee. Now the hire date and the end date, if the person has retired, their residential address. Now all the goods type, all this, I don't need this. This represents the goods type, the grade, the price, the customer type, the location ID. All this, the manager ID, I need that. The job grade, I don't need that. So I click on all this. After selecting that, by pressing your shift key on your keyboard, you can do that. Then I go to remove rows. Now, these are the lighted rows, the lighted columns, sorry. So I remove that so you can now see what is left. We don't really need the employee ID under the department dimension table. We don't need the employee ID. And so press down the shift key of your keyboard and press this so we can remove that column. So this is highlighted, selected. Now those are means column that we need the department ID, we need the department name. Also we need the job ID, the job title concerning the department. No, we can have jobs, different types of jobs. We are just interested in the department. What is the department and not a job that is done by each staff. We don't need a salary. We don't need a commission. We don't need an email. We don't need a phone number. We don't need all this. So all this data we don't need it. So we click on that and we can click on this. We need the manager ID. The manager for each department. We need that. Okay. Then we can now go to row. Sorry, we want to remove rows. Now you can see this is highlighted. So the one that is selected, those are the ones that will go up. Now you can see we've simply quickly created our tables for this. So that's how you're going to do for this. You're going to do for this. So for the customers table, we don't need employee ID for customer table. So we can simply remove that. We need all this represents employees. All this data represents employees. So you can simply press on the shift key and click on this. You remove that. Then this is customer ID, depot. Okay, let's undo. Let's consider to undo. We need the name of a customer. Now you can see this employees table. These are the names of the employees. Now when it comes to customer, we need the names of the customer, the first name, the last name of the customer. So now what we're going to do is let's delete this. Now let's go to the customer. Okay, now first name, last name, we're going to work on that later. We don't need this. Do that off the video. I'm going to include the custom, the phone number, and the rest of this. Now this, let me just show you what to do, how to go about this. Now we have this, we want to change the data there in that particular cell. We can edit the data in that particular cell. So let's click replace. Now using what we can say, so if we can leave that same surname, we go back to replace value, we can say joy, click OK. Now we can just continue on and on. I'm going to do that off the video, so you can do yours, so you can follow all along. schema, because when you keep building more and more and more and more table, derive more table from another, it becomes a snow flags. Now, once you finish, you are done with all this. The next thing you need to do, you have to close and apply. When you close and apply this way, input all your data, all the tables into your data model. Everything will be placed in your data model. But before that, I always like to save. So let's quickly save. Now, it is always better to save a file. It's always better to save a file. So you save that. That's saved. Now I will say apply later. Why am I going to use apply later? I can say apply now. But I want to apply later. Why I want to apply now? In case my model breaks along the line, I can simply make use of the apply. Use just like a backup. I can go and use the backup. So once I'm done with that, I can now go to close and apply. So Power BI will apply that now into your data model. Now this is your Power BI model now. So that is it. So let me have a look. Okay, you can see that string in this is actually all the tables we created. Now you can see the DIM customers, you can see the DIM department, you can see the DIM job, and this is a fact table. Now after having done this, we can delete the fact table if we want to do that. But let's look at the relationship. Let's see what Power BI does with that. Now you can see the various tables that have been created. Okay. Now remember I told you the customer table. I inputted the customers table from the customers tables. I inputted the customers table from Excel. So let me be done with this. So we can see proper. Now you can see our table. You can see the previous dimension we have. You can see this is the fact table. The fact table, the team employees table was gotten from the team employees were gotten from the fact table. The team job was gotten from the fact table. And the department. What we have here, we have the department ID, department name, job ID, and department ID. Okay, let's go back to this team department. Okay, let's get back to transform data. Okay, let's go back to team. Let's go to the fact table. Let's duplicate that. And we're going to call it team departments. Okay. Let's call that team departments. Let's to differentiate with this. Now let's go to this. What do we need? We only need department ID, department name, job ID, and management ID. So we don't want this. Press on the shift to the keyboard and click on that. We don't need this. So we need department ID, department name. We don't need the job ID, we don't need this. Okay. Now we don't need all this. We don't need this. We need department ID. Okay, all this we don't need this as well. Alternatively, we can do this. Choose column. Now, we only need the column we need. We only need department ID. We need the management ID. We need department name. Department ID, department name, management ID. Once again. But let's click OK. Let's go back to this. Department ID, department, okay, we need job ID. So click on that, go to choose column, job ID. Now that means I've deleted that also. Let's remove this. Let's remove this. So that's we undo. That's how to undo. Choose a column. All what we are interested in. We are the department ID, department name, job ID, and the management ID. So I think this way is faster than deleting. So that quickly gives us this. So we can simply click this off. Remember, this is the department, does not have X. Now, because it's not linked to a table, so that's okay. Let's go back to save. Let's override that. Okay. Okay, still not connected to the fact table. We can create the connection later. So let's. Now you can see a similarity. You can see the similarity between Power BI and Microsoft Access. So once you have a good knowledge of Microsoft Access, once you have a good knowledge of Microsoft Access, once you have a good knowledge of Microsoft Access, you have a better understanding on how to model using Power BI. So let me take it a little bit this so we can see that properly. Now you can see this department table is not linked, this is not linked. So I'm going to create a linkage to that. Now this gives us a kind of, this is derived from this is derived from this, gives us a kind of snow flag. Now if this is derived from this, give us snow flags. Okay, that is that. Okay, let me quickly show you the problem that we encounter if we don't link this two dimension table to our data model. The problem you will encounter while building a data model for a particular company. Now, the kind of problem you will encounter is this because your data is not linked. Let's use a fact table. Let's see the fact table. Now you can see this particular person, AZNA, informer. You can see the department, the person is accounting department. Okay, now let's assume I want to build this accounting department. Okay, let's go to this. Now, let's assume I need a simple visualization for this. Okay. Now, recall these two tables are not linked. The dimension, customers, and department, dimension, department, and that of employees. Okay, let's use the both of them with that of employees. Okay. Now, let's go to our employees dimensional table. Let's get the first name. Now let's see the last name of the employee. Now first name, last name. Now let's go to the department table. That's the dimension, the department, the team department table. Now when you go to the I need the department name. Okay, let's say the department ID or the department name. Sure. Now you can see it's giving me 10, 10, 10, 10 throughout. But when you go to the main data, when you come to department, when you go to the department ID, you can see you have 10, 30, we have 50, we have 60, we have. Why? Because those two tables are not linked. This particular table is not linked to employees table, either directly to the employees table or to the facts table. So that's the why we are having that particular problem. So we're going to resolve that problem before we continue. If not, we're going to have problem when you start querying your database. In other words, you start doing data analysis. So how do we create this link? Simple, just the way we do that in Microsoft Access. Now we look at this Microsoft Access. When you click on this, now remember you can right click this and you delete this relationship. Yeah, I can create this back by clicking on this, then I come to course. Microsoft Access Data Access, click create. The same way you can do that in Power BI. Now this is my department list. Okay, department list. Let us expand this. This department name. I click and I drag and I place it in department. The moment I do it, it brings up the pop-up menu just like Microsoft Access. Tell me create a relationship. Now I want to create a relationship. This is the department ID table. This is the employees table. Now I'm creating what many to many relationship. Is it that I want to create? Or I'm creating a single relationship that's the employees filter the departments table, or on both, whichever way. So let's just leave it and make it an active relationship, and let's click OK. Now when I want to do that, now you can see this. Now you can see this is created to this. Let me remove this. Now you cannot see it. It's not linked to the employees table. Now this is what we call a snow flag. It is no flag schema. You can see this is derived from this, why this is derived from this. Now, oh, this is linked to this, why this is linked to this. Now, even the stack schema, I will just link this. The stack schema link this to this. That gives you a star schema. But now, this is kind of snow flag. But why modeling a data avoid an expansion of snow flags, so that you will not run into the similar problem we just encountered. So you will not run into similar problem we encountered. So avoid snow flag while modeling the data. So once your data starts increasing, start expanding, it is better you use a star schema by connecting the other tables, the other sub-dimension to your fact table to avoid running into similar problem we encountered. Now this is the customer table. Now the customer table, I can also link the customer table the same way. Now remember, the customer table is a different table ballgame altogether. Now we can now look at how can we link this customer table. What we're going to do, what can we use to link this customer table? Now, so we have employee ID. Now we can link each employee. We remember each, the first name, last name. The customer type, the first name, amount, last name, purchase date, last name, goods purchase, goods credit. Okay, we have the customer ID. Okay, Now let's look at what we can use to link this table together. We have the customer type. Do we have customer type here? Fine. Okay, since we have the customer type, we have the customer type here. We click on customer type and we link it with this and click on OK. Now we've already built a relationship between those two tables. Now you can see this is linked to the fact table indirectly. So now we now have this kind of we don't have this kind of model. We finish building a better modeling. So let's go back to this and let's see. Now you can see this is working automatically. It automatically filters this down. Okay, it's using count department. First name, last name. So let's change this to, you don't want to summarize, show as value, no calculation. Okay, now we can now see it's now working correctly. Why? Because we've already done the linkage here, we've already linked our table, we've already built our modeling, we've already built the data correctly, we've already linked all our tables, so automatically it affected the output of the result. Now you can see everything is being done correctly. So once you finish building this data table, you can answer a lot of questions. So you can run a lot of query on your model as we produce a result for you. Well, just as we say in computer, garbage in, garbage out. So if you build a wrong data model, you have a wrong output when you query your data model. Like in this particular table, we can do a lot of things. We can know how many a customer bought, we can know the date a customer bought it, and which employee actually attended to that particular one customers. So we can know the customer type, we can know the location the customer bought the product from, and we can do a number of analysis, data analysis here, or we can answer a lot of questions here. Just the way you query your database in Microsoft Access, you also query your database in Power BI. But take note, Power BI is a very powerful tool for data analysis than Microsoft Access. Now, when you want to, once you build a data model, there's a lot of questions that you want to ask you want to find an answer. You need an answer from your data model. You want your data model to provide you provide your answers to such questions. Now, also there's something we might want to do, like for instance, if the prices of this goods changes, how can you track historical prices? Now, to do that, that is not a straightforward way. For instance, first and foremost, in this particular table, we don't have the goods type table. Okay, let's go to the let's click on the customer. Let's go to the now we can see this customer table. Now we can see the types of product, goods purchase. We can use that. Okay, let's check a fact table. Check a fact table contains all the information we need. Okay, the goods type, the grade, and the prices. Okay, now we can simply create that particular dimension. We click on that. When we click on that, remember we have to. Okay, okay, let's double click this. Let's duplicate that. And we're going to call that a dim. We're going to rename that to dim goods type. Okay, and press the enter key. Now, so we've got that. What we're going to do is choose columns. We are going to keep the columns we don't want to keep. Now remember, we're interested in the types of goods type, the grade, and the price, isn't it? So we are only interested in this three and we keep the three. So now we have the goods type, we have the grade, and we have the price. Now we build this particular table. So all what we need to do, let's save first and foremost. Sorry, let me use this. Save here, apply later, close, and apply. So Power BI will update that particular table. Now we've gotten that, Power BI is going to update it. We can check as start schema for the goods type. Okay, let's save it again. Let's save. Okay, now I've saved that now. Okay, close and apply. Let's look for where it is. It must be in this particular. Let's look for it. Okay, this way is hidden. So this should be connected to the fact table. Now you can see there is no connection with the fact table, though it was built using the fact table. Why is there no connection? There is no data connecting. We have goods type, goods price, and grade and goods price. Now, so let's use the goods type. Yeah. Now, remember, in Microsoft Access, while building a database, we must have an ID. We must have an ID. So when I click on this, I'm creating a primary key. So that is going to use as a primary key. It's going to connect the two tables together. So that would be the primary key for this. So that this will be taken as a primary key, while the rest will be taken as a secondary key. So that will become a primary key in the fact table. So now we've gotten the start key, we've gotten that. So we go back to this. Okay, we're talking about to create the historical data for goods type. So we're talking about the goods type, the very historical data for the goods type. Let's see. Okay, now, so When we have this, now what we're going to do now, we're going to create an index for that particular table. So in order to track the historical changes in the price of the goods, what we need to do, we have to create a surrogate keys. But depending on the type of data you're working on, now you can first and foremost, depending on the type of data you're working on. Now, if the data you're using or is a table you have, the dimension table you have already have a primary key. Like let's go to our employees table. Now you can see our employees table, we already have a primary key, this employee ID. Now, if I want to use a table like this, I would like to sort it in ascending order. So when I have the surrogate keys to it, to use it to be able to track historical changes. So in the future, my surrogate keys will not change because once I identify this with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this is identified. That means employee ID 101 is identified with 1, 102 is identified with 2. So anytime the salary changes in the future, that will be able to track it. But now I don't want to track the salary change in the future. I want to track the product change in the future, and my product table or dimension table does not have a unique ID. Let me put it that way. What I have is this. Doesn't really have a unique ID. So this is what I have today is I can decide to sort column by this. Is sort the column by that. So we can now go ahead and create the surrogate key to it. So we're going to sort it just as I said earlier on. But why sorting it? We are not sorting it this way. We're not sorting it this way. Let's click on this. Okay, sort ascending order. Okay, that's sort that particular. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to so let's go to transform data. Then we're going to add a surrogate key to that particular. Let's go to add column. When we add column, we go to index, and let's say from 1. Yeah, so this is a surrogate key. Now the hex key, added that. So now this will now become I want to build on that table. Let's assume I want to build um, amount purchase and okay, let's say we want to call that dim customer payment table or customer. But when I want to give it customer balance, so you can do it that way. So we go to choose column. I just want to show us something. Then I have the goods purchased. I have the purchase date, the amount, and the goods. Okay, let me remove the purchase date. This okay. Let me have this now. Okay, now this particular table I want to. Okay, when we go to now, when we have this now, what we are going to do is this: we are going to build a ID to this. Now, okay, let's get a surrogate ID to that. So let's go to add column. When I click on add column, let's go to this. So we have a surrogate key to that. So that is a surrogate key. We will say X key. Okay, sorry. So you say SK. Then you have the SK key. Have the SK key. Have the SK key. When you have the SK key, okay, now what we do is this. We have to change the ID of this key. Well, so we right click, we are going to change the ID of that. We're going to call that rename and we'll use SK. Press enter. Now this will be a surrogate key for this particular table. Now once we create a surrogate key for this particular table, we want to join it to the customers table. So we can create a kind of snow flag. So what we're going to do is this. We go to transform, or we get to transform. We're going to, so let's go to the home menu, then we'll go to merge. We're going to merge the query. Now this is the dim table, dim customer balance. Now I'm going to tell the Power Query that I want to merge it with dim customer table. Now what do I want to use to merge this? Now remember, this doesn't have the surrogate key there, is not in this particular dim customer ID. Now, and this customer ID, I've deleted it off from the table. So I'm going to make use of this goods purchase. Okay, goods purchase. Now I can use this as a unique ID and left outer join, all from the first matching, from the first column for the first row, matching that for the second. So I'm going to use everything here to match what is here. So what Power BI is going to do, any column, any row that is not here, that is in this place, that is in this particular dimension, Power BI is going to exclude it. Exclude that particular. I come again, only the rows that are here, that can be found here, Power BI is going to use to create another table, or they use in creating this particular dimension. So now I have two tables. I'll click on that and now tell Power BI which and which I want to leave. Remember, I don't need all this. I only need this amount, the credit, amount, credit, and goods purchase. So good purchase, I don't need the date, amount, I need the credit, and the surrogate key. Okay, let's go back to the mesh query. We'll click on the mesh query. We're going to access which of the table do we want to keep. So, what do I? So these are the ones we actually want to keep, but it will only be a duplicate on the table. So it will only be a duplicate on this table, and we already have that amount and that. So we can do this, and we'll remove that. Okay. Now, when you look at it, we don't really need this table in our data model. We don't really need this table, but I only brought up this table in order to teach us how we can build a table or how we can create a table without a unique ID in Power BI. In case you have a table, you want to create a table, or you quickly want to create a table in Power BI without a unique ID, you can simply use this method to create such type of table. Now, that means you don't want to go through Microsoft Excel. You don't want to first and foremost build a table here in Microsoft Excel. You don't want to first and foremost type the table here on Microsoft Excel. You want to just build a table here in Power BI and you put a unique key, because before you can create a one-to-many relationship or a one-to-one relationship, you must have a unique ID, just like in Microsoft Access. Every Microsoft Access, you always have a unique ID. You have a unique ID to create that in Microsoft Access. Without a unique ID, you can create that in Microsoft Access. Now you can see this particular table. This is a primary key. This is a unique ID. Is a primary key. Each table that is created here, you have the unique ID. For each of these tables that's created here, you have the unique ID. When we go to the design view, you see each of these tables have their unique ID. So you must have a unique ID to be able to create your relationship. So in this particular case, we don't really need this table. I just wanted to show us how we can quickly build a table in Power BI if we don't want to create the table first in Microsoft Excel. So now this dimension table, remember the dimension table was getting from the customer, was getting from the goods type. What did we get it from? I think we got it from this. We got it for this. We got it for this. We got it for this. That's where we got it from. So this is customer goods purchase. We can create the link here and we click OK. We bring it to this site. We bring it here. Yeah. So this is the diagram for our various tables. So we can click on this and this gives us the layout. Which will give us a layout. We can create a layout here. Remember I told you that this particular table is not important. This particular table we created here is not actually important. I only brought in this table just to show to us how we can actually build a table in Power BI. So I can come to this place and I simply click and drag only the tables that are important into the layout of my table. Okay, I can simply just click and drag and paste, and you just simply click and drag and paste the data that I want, the customer table, the department table, the employees table. So just put all the tables that I know, all the tables that are interested, all the important tables to you. And just click on those tables and we'll use it and build the layout of the table. So we can just do that there. Okay, let's just continue what we're doing. Yeah, in a Power BI, we can do a number of things. We can filter the table here. We can filter the table if we want to. Can click here Now let's make use of this. We can use filter. Okay. We can filter by number. Number does not equal to where the manager hiding number does not equal to 1.3. Now here we are interested in seeing those employees whose manager ID is not 103. Let's see the manager ID is not 103. Or let's remove this filter, clear filter. Let me use it in a way that we understand it better. Now this you can see various accounting department, various department. You can see that the sales department is 50. Now if we want to filter, we don't want to the sales department 50. In other words, we want to see other departments, but we are not interested in the sales department. So we want to filter that just to see people from other departments except sales department. We can do that filter. Or also we might decide to want to filter, but let's quickly clear that. We want to filter people that okay, we are interested in seeing people that equal to. Okay, now we want people from what department? We want people from the marketing department. For instance, let's assume your boss asks you that to be given a list of people that are in accounting department and in factory. Just need a list of people in accounting department and in factory. Factory is the department ID is 60. Let's make it go again. Filter by number shows those where department ID is less than or equal to. I don't want this. I want where is equal to 50. Okay. Now I also want the row where department ID is equal to 50 or is equal to 60. Now you can see that. So make use of the or. But if I'm interested in that, I can use the department name. I'm interested to see the filter by text. Text contains, or I can use it this way. Text that starts with accounting and or text that starts with and click on OK. Now you can see that you can filter that there. So now let's start going into the Power BI. Now we finished building a model using the Power BI. Now we can decide to query the model or to extract some data from the model or to do some data analysis. But first and foremost, let's look at the design. We have some visualization here. We have some visualization here. So there's a card. This card visualization always give you one single number. Now let's see. For instance, we have the employees table or we have the customer table. Let's click this to collapse the panel. Under the customer table, we have the goods credit and the goods purchase. We can click and drag and place it there. You'll see it normally produce one result. That what it normally produce. Let's say this credit Now we can put that underneath it. Just let a space there. Or just simply click it. So we have this. We can decide to click and drag to format it. Okay, now let's delete this. So we can also have another visualization, which is a table. This table visualization, I can decide from the customer table. I want to see the customer's ID. It gives you that. Now you can come to this table. You click on this. It's showing you count. I don't want it to count the number. Don't summarize. It gives me the customer ID. If I want the customer first name, I either click and drag this little space in here. You drop it there. Give the customer's name. If I want the customer last name, I click and drag. I either click and drag here or I simply click the checkbox and it brings it out. Now you can see it brings down for the customer. Now I want to know more about these customers. Let me click the noodles and expand it. Now this customer bought goods. I want to see the goods purchased by the customers. And I want to see the credit paid by the customer. So the customer purchased goods and let's see that's the goods sum of goods credit. That's the credit the goods bought by the customers. Also this, I don't want it to summarize it. I don't need the sum. Don't summarize. No. Okay. I can have the credit and where the purchase. Okay, my density is very tiny. So I can come to this. That's an visualization. I can click these defaults. That's the heading. I can use, I need a bold heading. The value. Now I can touch the value. That's 10. I can simply click this to increase the value. Okay, now okay. Then I can decide to change the font size if I want to. The text color. Okay, let's collapse that. Then the total, if I have a total column, I can also work on that. Then let's see what we have in general. And then I can the rest of them. Then we have this last one we want to do some analytics. Okay, let's come here. We can simply expand this and we expand this. We can collapse this so we can see properly, or we expand this a bit. Let's go back to the planning. Okay, and that is better. So when you look at this credit column, let's go back to this. Now when you create this credit column, you can see when I click on this, you can see various measures created by Power BI. Now this is DAX in Power BI. DAX stands for Data Analytics Expression. Now you can see we can decide to sum this up and it gives us the sum of all the credits. I could still go to this and decide I need the average. It gives us the average. So, but using average there will not be good. So let's do summarize. But nevertheless, we have different types of measures. We have the sum, we have the average, we have the minimum, we have the maximum. We have the count. But in this particular kind of table, I can't make use of the maximum here. It it won't make sense in the data modeling. What type of information am I trying to extract? Now, what the type of information you're trying to extract from the data determines the combination of data you use in the type of analysis you do. So, my advice to you is that never use implicit measure in your Power BI. Always create your own measure in Power BI. So, how do you do that? I'm going to teach you that in a second. So that stands for data analysis expression. Now we are done in building a data model. We can now start applying that analysis into Power BI. Now the first thing what I want us to look at now is this. If I'm interested to know the sum of sales, I can decide to get this card. Now, if I'm interested in the sum of sales, let me go to the customer table. Now, in this customer table, I want to know the sum of sales or sum of purchase. Sorry. Let's check our table. Now, the customer table. Now, under the customer table, I want to see the amount purchase and goods credit purchase. See goods credit. So amount of goods purchase and this goods credit means what our customers is owing this particular company. That's the goods bought on credit by our customers. So let's see the amount. Okay. Okay, click and drag. That gives me this amount here is sum of 4 million naira. So that's the sum. Then I can also want to see the credit amount, the goods bought on credit. 6 million naira. Okay, but if I don't want to do that, I still don't use implicit measures. We can do it this way. We can go to the Power Modeling and we click on, we go to new measure. Under the new measure, we call this sum of amounts. So once you see the total sum of amount brought by the customer, then we go to sum. Probably I quickly bring up this. Now always read the description, add all the numbers in a column. Now which particular column do I want to add? Amount. Now this is the argument. So we go to amount. It's just like Microsoft Excel. See, you click on that and you okay. Then you hit the enter. Well, when you hit the enter, Power BI does that. So let's click on this. We'll click on this. What is the this sum of amount? So click on this. You can see we still have the same 4 million. Now, if we want to use this amount, Okay, I want to make use of this amount. You can see formula. Now I make use of the implicit formula. I make use of this implicit formula here to get the amount, and I make use of measure to calculate this. Remember, I use the measure here to get this particular value. Now let's quickly do something so you understand better. For instance, I have the customer here. But let's say I have the customer ID. I have the first name of the customer. Let's delete this. Let me click table. I want it in the form of a table. You can click and drag that. But when you click and drag that, we want the customer ID, we want the first name, we want the customer last name, we want the goods purchased, the amount of goods purchased by each customer. Now, this amount of goods purchased by each customer, and I told you don't use this implicit measure. So Power BI quickly summarize that. I said don't summarize it. Power BI gives me this. Now, if I want the sum of that, remember we click on that and we go to sum. Power BI gives you the sum of that. Now, if I want to create a new measure for that amount, all I'm going to do is this. I go to my data model, I go to new measure. Here I can say sum of amount. Sum. You know I have sum of amount here. Okay, let me delete this first. So we won't mix that up. You right click and you delete from the model. Okay. Now I go to modeling. I go to new measure. When you get to the measure, you click on sum of amount. Okay. When you get the sum of amount, you click that. You say sum. I double click on that. What amount? What table is this? The name of the table is deal customer. And what column do I want to? I'm dealing with the deal customer amount column. So type a bracket close and press enter. The moment I do that, I see that there. So I click on that. Power BI automatically bring it up. You can see. Now one is sum of amount, the other one is sum. You can see both gives us the same value. But I warn you, don't use this implicit measure because at times you might run into error while using this implicit measure and you might not detect the measure. So alternatively, I can decide to create a new column. Modeling, I go to new column. Now, what is this new column? I call it sum of. Now, let me do it this way. So equals to sum. I click on that. I'm interested in the amount. Okay, let's go back to that. Okay, it's found in amount. Okay, let's click on that. Now you can see that now this creates a new column. This is just a measure. Now in this particular case, this new column is part of a new column. Now you can see some amount, and this one is sum of amount. Now let me explain that. Click on the data model. Let's go to our daily customer. Now you get to daily customer. Go to the table now. Now you can see some amount in the daily customers with sum of amount. Sorry. Now you can see sum of amount. Now this is a new column I created. While I was creating this, I make use of new column, sum of amount. I make use of this sum of amount, new column. That was what I used in creating this. Why this was just a measure, is just a variable that only appears in Power BI but does not become part of the table. This first one we created is not part of a table. Okay, so let's quickly just continue. We can create a visualization for that. We can simply quickly do something. Let's do this. We can create either we create a chart for that. We can create goods purchase and we create the amount. Um, so we can create various visualization for our data. Just the way we do it in Microsoft Excel, you can create different types of visualization for the data. I don't want to spend much time there. Okay, let me do this. Customer ID. Don't want to summarize this. Then the amount of goods purchased. Okay. Let's have a slicer here. Okay. I could decide to have I could decide to do some things here. Could add some filters here if I want to. Add some filter. I can just say I want to see data to a specific amount. You can see data is greater than and apply the filter. So that reduces the number of filter we see here. So the moment you clear the filter off, when we clear the filter off, it automatically clears that off. The filter will go off automatically. So that's how to apply filter to visualization, but I don't want us to do all. Also, we can do a number of things in Power BI here. We can go to modeling. We can set new column, customer's name. This is not what I want to actually do, customer's name. So let me just quickly do that. We did this in Power Query, but I don't. Okay, we can now say customer's name. What's the customer's name? Let's say um customer's name. So let's say Dean customer first name. Hmm. Then we can use the ampersand symbol. Let's make use of this. Now make use of Now you can see Power BI combine the first and the last name of the customer. That's where it's going to appear. I'm going to say something about that in a second. So maximum amount of which table we need the maximum amount. So that is now you can see return the largest numerical value or the largest string in a column or the largest value between two scalar expression. That means when you have two scalar expressions going to return, I'm going to explain that in a second. So the maximum amount of which column. Now the column we're interested in is the customer table, the amount column in the customer table. So use dim customer amount, bracket close, press enter. Then when you press enter, you can see Power BI gives you that. So you can click and drag and paste that. And you can see the maximum amount there. That's the maximum amount. So we can also do likewise again. We can get that for the minimum amount. Go to new measure. So minimum amount for which table the customer table, which table customer code table, and press enter. So that will select apply the filter context here. Okay, let's go to DAS analysis. We can apply DAS analysis directly here. Now, first and foremost, we want to use the DAS analysis. The first thing you need to do, you have to connect the DAS table. Now, and make sure that your Power BI is on. Now you can see the Power BI table here. This is the Power BI table is on. Now, so these are Power BI. Now I'm going to DAS analysis. Now, when I go to DAS analysis, I have to connect the table. Okay, let's click on OK. Now let's quickly look at the screen of the DAS analysis. Now this is the run button. When you finish typing your query, you take this to run the button. This is the file menu. Under the file menu, we have a new, we have save and save as up an option. Those are recent. But now we have the builder query. When you click on builder query, it has to cover this in between. It shows the query. Whenever you type a query, you can also get the builder query here. Then this helps to clean the cache. This helps to clean and run. While you're running a particular query, you can clean whatever analysis you've done in the previous data. So once you do that, it prevents Power BI from bringing a previous value in the particular data. Just like the previous thing we did that we're using the all selected. Now, when you run a task analysis on a particular query on a particular data, and you run it again, you might think the result you have will be the same thing with the previous value. And what might lead to that is because of the cache has not been cleaned off. So for you to get it, now this output it talks about where do you want to receive your results in that analysis. Do you want your results to appear? So one more time we see where our result is going to come out. This to undo, this is the cut, this is the copy, this is the paste, and this is the here, and I click to connect. So I can use this to refresh my data in case I come to Power BI and I added a particular data in Power BI. Let's assume in this customer table. Okay, let's come to this place. This customer table. I go to the home menu on this customer table and I click on transform. Now, when I click on transform, I come to this point When you can transform, I come to this point. Now you can see some of the similarity between Power Query and Power BI. So when I click on this, you can see the employee this was given to me. Development ID, just very similar to my group access. Okay, now what I want to do is this. Now when I click on this, okay, I can go to new data. Now when I type AI, we need to refresh the data there. Okay. So that is that. Then this represents your meta table. This represents the function. Various function you have in DAX analysis. We have the data and type filter function, statistic function, logical function, the text function. Then we have the dim. Then this represents the database on the database SQL on so that's analysis. Okay. Now, where we use our table. Now, you can see the example that came to. So, if you want to do in PowerPoint, first of all, you have to do evaluate. So, evaluate is the simplest function. Is the if most times you want to do the in PowerPoint, you have to start with the evaluate function in Power. Sorry, Power BI. That's the simplest query you use in data analysis is evaluate. So we can say evaluate, and let's come to evaluate. Okay, let's evaluate the customer table. Do customer table, and we click on one and press enter on the keyboard. You can see it brings all the column. Now, but if I don't want all the column, I can use the value function. Evaluate, then I say value. But before that, let's order this by, it is already ordered by the order ID. I can say I want to order it by the first name. So I can decide to use order by press enter on your keyboard. Order by, most in a syntax, they have an error in the syntax. Evaluate deep customer do probably around it. Evaluate deep probably. At first, I'm on the syntax in my system on the syntax, you have to put this in some of the syntax before Power BI is going to run it. So when you run it without the apostrophe or double apostrophe, the apostrophe is found after the table. If Power BI does not run it, you can put the apostrophe. So we cannot have the order by, yeah. How do we put order it by? What order it by customer table. They make use of this type of bracket. Um, First name. Okay. Then you press enter or you click on the wrong key. Customer. We have the column name or column table name or column name. So the table name, then the column name. Okay, let's assume we're interested in seeing the first name. Now bracket close. Now let's remove this. You see that under my first name. Then if we want to add additional column, we can say we need that. Then link customer. So I already put this equation. I'm trying to put this on that one. That is why it gave me that particular argument. Now we have that evaluate this. Let's see another function of our query and that analysis we can use. Let's say evaluate calculate table. Now we can apply the table name and the filter. So calculate table, let's say the team customer. This is all the table name, calculate table, name customer. Okay, now if we are interested in seeing customer, those that are distributors, only distributors. So we can say calculate table dim customer where dim customer apply equals to we're interested to see where the customer type is distributor type now. So we can see calculate table. This is a table we're interested in dim customer. Then the column we're interested in is this column type to dim customer type where the customer type is distributor. So let's click the run. Remember I put a apostrophe here at the top and at the beginning. Okay. There's some error there. Okay. Let's remove this. Let's remove this. And let's run. Customer. Okay. Dim customer. Dim customer. In Microsoft Access, what we do in Microsoft Access, we put a double inverted comma here in Microsoft Access. So let's do that around. Okay, now we can see that now. So we can see it only gives us customers that are distributors. So when you look at it, you'll see that the customers you can see are all distributors. So remember